Hi everyone.
Good evening everyone. Welcome back to Sunday Night Satsang with myself, John Homewood, and
Michelle.
And tonight we're going to be looking at dealing with uncertainty. Now why would you choose that?
Well, they're rather uncertain times, not so?
Think so?
Mm-hmm. Would
Then
seem
about
so.
how are you guys finding life at the moment? You're finding every day full of surprises. In the morning you don't quite know how the afternoon is going to end. So welcome. Hello Merlene. Lovely to see you there. Thank you for the heart. As usual, what we like to know is who we're talking to. So if you can just tell us who you are, where you're watching from, and if you have any questions or comments as we go, we love getting them. So please type them up. And we also love getting those hearts. So thank you very much. Yeah, there's another one.
Thanks, Kat.
Thank you. Yeah, we missed you last week, but we're back. We're back. Yeah. So
It's very cold, so we're sitting in the lounge where there's a fireplace.
Yep, we've got a lovely big
very
fire
cold.
going at the moment.
Very
Yeah.
cold and very wet.
Extremely wet. We're living on a farm at the moment, and it's underlaid with clay. And it's mission impossible
mud.
to get your car in and out of this place. It really is mission impossible. So
I was thinking about calling tonight what to do when life's muddy,
yeah,
because we've been wading through mud.
yeah,
Yeah.
it certainly is muddy. Is your life feeling like mud at the moment?
Clear as mud?
As clear as mud, yeah. So let's just wait for a few more people to join us. Yeah. Yeah, so we're living on a farm, and this part of the world there was a major drought towards the end of last year, and there was no rain for a couple of months. And now we get so much rain. I don't think they've seen so much rain in 20 years. It's just unbelievable. And I believe Cape Town also has had a lot of rain. In fact, I think most of the Garden Route, most of the Western Cape has had a lot of rain. Hello, Diane.
Diane.
Hello, Terry.
Terry and Shelley.
Yeah. Down the pass from you. You're also getting rain.
Yeah.
And you get in and out of your property at the moment, because I came past there the day before yesterday along the Seven Passes Road, and boy, it was like,
It's quite.
yeah, very, very bad, those
We've been
roads.
towing a few cars out of here
Yeah, we have.
recently.
Yeah, towing a few cars out of here. Yeah.
Hi, Claire.
Hello, Claire. Yeah. And there's Claire Cockett as well. Yes. Hello, everyone.
Good to have you with us.
Yeah.
Hope you're warm.
Yeah,
Hi,
so
Colleen.
dealing with uncertainty. Very interesting topic for tonight. Very interesting topic. Hello, Colleen from Zanin. Hello. Hi. Welcome. So just see that you're comfortable, see that you've made arrangements not to be disturbed for the next little while. Settle down into your chairs, settle down into your body, and most importantly, settle down into the present moment. See, the present moment is the one place that's absolutely certain, isn't it? You're here.
Yeah.
You're here now. This is absolutely certain that you're here right now. Our internet connection may disconnect, so in the next moment we may not be here, but right now we're here.
Because nothing's certain.
Nothing's certain.
Right now we're here.
Right now we're here, yeah.
If we disappear, just stay on the page and
Yeah.
we'll be back.
Yeah. Last time we did it, we also were talking to no one for the first little while.
We don't have load shedding, but that doesn't mean it doesn't drop, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. Yeah. Thank you for the hearts. We always love
Thanks,
getting those
everyone.
hearts. Thank you, and the kisses. That's lovely. Well, we love you all. So to settle back, you might like to gently close your eyes for the beginning of the satsang. Satsang is just a gathering. It's a gathering of sacredness. It's a gathering of souls to honor life and the sacredness of life. So gently closing your eyes, just settle down into your bodies, withdrawing your mind from all of the times and all of the places, just becoming gently centered in the here and now, in the present moment. As we learn to make the present moment our home, so the fears and the anxieties, the anger and the depression and the grief and the guilt naturally drop away, like petals drop away as the fruit starts to form. Our true being emerges from the confusion of the mind. We start to awaken to who and what we really are. And as we have shared many times before, there are a couple of portals which help take us into this beautiful present moment. One of the easiest to access is the breath. So let's try that right now. Let's just gently take a very deep breath into our bodies, drawing the air right down to the solar plexus. And then that releasing, surrendering breath out. Just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Squeeze all the air out. And take a second deep breath in. Just drawing the air as if it were right down to your toes this time. And then surrender it. Just let it go. A gentle out breath. Long out breath. And take a third breath in, and as you breathe in, you blow your tummy out like a big ball, drawing the air right the way in. Down to your toes, and this time to the top of your head, filling your whole body. And then that lovely sigh out. Just let it go, and just see how much better you feel when you sigh. Letting go, relaxing, surrendering into the present moment. And now we surrender the breath to the intelligence called life. We just allow life to breathe us naturally without trying to control it in any way at all. But we keep our awareness on the breath. Keeping our awareness, you might like, on the tip of your nose and feeling what it feels like for the in-breath to be drawn in and for the out-breath to be released through the nose. Becoming aware of the temperature change between the in-breath and the out-breath. Becoming aware of any aromas you can smell right now. Becoming aware of the faculty of smell. Becoming aware of the sense called taste. Becoming aware of the gift of touch. Feeling where your hands are touching right now. You might like to move your hands a little bit and just feel what they are touching right now. And just marvel at this incredible gift of touch. Now become gently aware of the faculty of listening, of hearing. What a wonderful gift to be able to hear the world around you. Noticing all the sounds that you can hear. Not through memory or anticipation, but just directly in this moment. Just being aware. We have in this moment the sound of a beautiful log fire crackling in the background. In order to truly taste, in order to truly feel, in order to truly listen, one has to be present. If you're not directly hearing, touching or tasting or smelling, you are doing it through a process of memory or anticipation, and that's a disconnection from life. And you rob yourself of the beauty of this moment, the sacredness of this moment. To truly listen, we have to be present. Whether you're sitting in nature and listening to the beautiful sounds from nature, or you're in a city, or you're sitting with a loved one, or a friend or a family member, or even someone you're in conflict with. Try listening from a state of emptiness, from a state of inner allowingness, inner peace, and see what a difference it makes. The forest, the nature sounds will become more alive. The conversation will become more loving when we are present. Presence is an amazing healing energy. Presence is such a sacred gift. It is life itself. In this moment, become aware of any thoughts in your mind. Just allow them to drift through your awareness. But noticing that you are the noticer. You're not the thought. You don't follow the thought. You don't create an endless story. You're just aware. You're aware of the sounds, of the tastes, of the touch, and you're aware of your thoughts. And this awareness, if you investigate it, is a place of deep inner stillness. It's this place of deep inner stillness that we call being. And this, in fact, is our true essence, the true self, not the mind-made image of self, but the real self, the I am that I am. And this is where we experience love, this is where we experience peace, here, in this moment. Right now. Take another deep breath in. And a beautiful long breath out. And keeping this connection with life, with being. When you're ready, you may softly, gently open your eyes to see how you feel in this moment. Do you feel a bit more peaceful, hopefully? Bit more,
Very much so.
bit more sacred. Yeah, good.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for joining us all tonight. Thank you. Thank
Lovely
you.
to have you with us.
Thank you.
So tonight we're talking about dealing with uncertainty, because in my experience and the people that we're dealing with and working with and living with, there's a lot of uncertainty around. Most people are, a lot of people seem to be in a state of kind of limbo, not knowing what's next, not knowing what to expect, realizing that they can't control things maybe the way they have in the past, where you have some plans and then shortly after you've made the plans change and everything's completely different. So we just thought we'd talk about that tonight, the fire's sparking out sparks, as I said that.
Yep, you see, there's the truth.
Doing a fireworks display there. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, and say if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So I think there's the universe's design, and then there's the egoic will. And the truth to finding true peace is to align it with the truth. Not my will, but thy will be done. That the will of life, the will of the universe. It's not that you are a passive bystander to it, but you are a co-creator and a participant with the dance of life. And that really is a complete different way of living our lives. Instead of fighting life, we make friends with life and we dance with life. But yeah, how do we deal with uncertainty? How do we deal with uncertainty? Are you experiencing some uncertainty in your life? If you are, type it up in the comments box. Let us know.
Let us know.
And then we can talk to that. But at the physical level, at the human level, there are many uncertainties at the moment. There's an uncertainty, for example, regarding finances, maybe uncertainty regarding the political situation. The war in Ukraine, for example, is creating a lot of uncertainty within people and a lot of economic upheaval in the world at this moment. I was talking to someone else the other day. They were talking about the uncertainty in shipping at the moment, trying to get goods and services, goods particularly around the world.
A lot of industries.
is very difficult. There's a lot of uncertainty in all different aspects of life. So it's let us know what are the uncertainties in your life. And I believe that these times that we're going through are times of a stirring up of the seemingly solidity of life, to reveal the instability of the human reality, of the human constructed reality, of what I call life on the horizontal plane. The horizontal plane is the movement from birth until death. And while we're moving on that plane, the mind, the logical mind, the analytical mind, loves to know what's going to happen with a fair amount of certainty in the future. But the times that we're going through now is generating a lot of uncertainty, and there is a huge gift in that uncertainty, which we'll talk a bit tonight. But the first part of tonight is, how do we deal with this uncertainty?
Yeah, I think it's we were saying earlier on in the satsang when we first started that we're living on a farm in the garden route, and the ground is like a marsh because we've had so much rain, and it's very much like that. It's this illusion that we're actually on this very steady land, and a lot of water comes in, and then you realize that it's not so steady, and cars are getting stuck, and it's sucking things into it, and it feels very muddy and uncertain. And for me, that was it's quite symbolic of the times that we're in, is that there just seems to be a lot of mud, a lot of uncertainty. So where do we find certainty? And I came across a quote the other day that said, the only certainty is uncertainty. But we seem to think, our minds like to think, that we should be certain. And then there's fear attached when we're not certain. When we're in that state of prevarication where we don't know what's actually going to happen, there's almost an underlying fear that we should know. And why don't we know? And what should we be doing in order to ensure certainty? And I think that's where we miss the boat, because there is no real thing, no real such thing as certainty.
So the mind, the logical, time-based, analytical process of information, loves certainty. It loves to know exactly what's going on around it and what's going to come next. And one of the things that I do is teach public speaking, and people get incredibly anxious before they get up to speak publicly, because they don't know how it's going to go. Are they going to forget their words? Are the people going to like what they say, etc.? So there's a lot of uncertainty, and that is generally why people avoid public speaking, because it's so uncertain there. What happens if I fluff it, and then what are people going to think of me, and who am I in that uncertainty? And that is all based on a misperception, and the major misperception which creates so much fear and anxiety in our lives. It's the uncertainty of who we are. We do not know who we are. There's a misperception of who we are. For most people, the understanding of who they are is, I am what I do, or I am what I have done. I am what other people think of me. I am my achievements, for example. I am my roles that I play. And I am my possessions. And I need to find certainty. I need to really know who I am in terms of what other people think of me. I need to find certainty in the stability of my material possessions. And I need to have certainty in the roles that I play. They need to be clearly defined. And I'm going to suggest that in all of those areas, there's great uncertainty, and I'm not too sure who typed up there on there about uncertainty and the trust in government. Now, the times that we're moving through are, as far as I can see, times of the apocalypse. And the word apocalypse doesn't mean the end of the world, although it is in a certain way. What it means is for the veil to be lifted, for the illusion to be seen through. And that's really what's happening, because the physical world that we live in on the horizontal plane has always been unstable. But because time seems to be speeding up at the moment, it becomes more and more and more obvious of the instability. And then with the veil being lifted, the veil of ignorance, and that which is hidden being revealed, we can see through the trust that we had in the government, or the medical situation, or even in our relationships, or in our financial situations. We can see through what the media are telling us as truth, and we see that, hang on a minute, it's not that stable, it's not that real, it's not that dependable, that old world that we used to live in. And it will be affecting us in each individually in many different ways. But these are the times of seeing through the illusion. And the good news is that as we see through the illusion in that moment, there's the opportunity to see the truth, to see what is not unstable, to see what is not being challenged at the moment, what is not breaking up at the moment, what can be relied upon at the moment. And it's not what your mind thinks. It's never what your mind thinks. No matter what you achieve in life, no matter how much wealth you acquire in life, that will always be unstable, because the very nature of anything that time touches is instability.
Now, it's quite interesting what you said there, because the one thing that does happen is we're inclined to believe the media. But what media are you listening to? Because there's always going to be two opposing stories.
Or 10.
Or 10, or 15, or 25, or 35. So you might hear one thing the next day, and the next day, it's completely the opposite of what you heard the day before. So who do you believe? What do you believe? And so it goes back to, what do you believe? And who do you listen to? What do you listen to? And a lot of the time, as an astrologer, I have people coming to me wanting to have certainty about something, because they think that astrologers have this magical ball which sees certainty. And astrology is not certain. There are certain movements and alignments that are certain, which present probabilities, but definitely not certainties. So you can have an alignment that presents a possibility that the structures are going to start collapsing, which has been happening over the last few years. But what that's exactly going to look like and what the result of that's going to be is not seen. So there's even uncertainty in that. Even though there's a possibility, a probability, there's no certainty, because we're in an ever-evolving universe and we're creating it as we go. So whatever we are creating in this moment is sending a ripple out into the field and creating our next moment. So the next moment cannot be certain, because it's dependent on what's going on now. So you cannot actually be certain about anything out there. You can only be certain about what I am, what frequency I'm holding in this moment, what I'm choosing in this moment. Am I choosing to go into that story? Am I choosing to go into the fear of the story, which we all do because we are human? But am I choosing to hook into that and let it overtake me? Or am I choosing to come back to presence, to what is stable in this moment? Because the only certainty we have right now is this. We don't have anything more. But the mind, we believe that we do. And because we don't have a grasp of what's going to be happening tomorrow and the next day and next year, there's a fear that comes up that we should be doing something else, that we should know and we don't know. So for me, one of the main ways of dealing with uncertainty is accepting that I don't know. Because the opposite of that is resisting the fact that you don't know. So if you don't know, and now there's resistance added to the unknowing, now there's resistance, and now there's a tightening, and this creates a frequency field of its own. So now you're in resistance to something that you don't know, but you don't know. So there's no way that you can know. So the best thing for me, as far as I can see, is to accept that I don't know in this moment. In this moment, I accept that I don't know. And there's a relief and a release in that. Because it's the mind telling you that you should know that creates the anxiety and the fear.
Yeah, and just to go back a bit to what you were saying about that we are creating our future now, but how are we creating our future now? And, we think that through my planning, through my strategizing, I'm creating my future. Now, that used to work pretty well in the past. It did. It worked pretty well. But in this moment, because of the uncertainty in the world out there, in the nature of form, that way of finding stability doesn't really work. But the real essence of how you are creating your future in the moment lies in the frequency and the field of energy that you are transmitting, that you are bathing in right now in this moment. And that field of energy is created primarily through our feelings and our thoughts. And so in this moment, if we are feeling stable and secure and at peace within ourselves right now in this moment, guess what you're feeding into the future for your future possibility? It'll be exactly that. If you're feeling in this moment instability, if you're feeling fear and anxiety in this moment and worry, what are you feeding into the field? Because whatever you feed into the universe expands and grows. So the most important thing we can do in dealing with uncertainty is to find that space of peace within us in this moment. There's always peace in the present moment. The present moment is always absolutely certain. It's already here. There's nothing uncertain about the present moment. It's right here. And if we can bring our awareness back out of time, out of the instability of time and the interpretation of time, into the reality, the direct perceiving of just life in this moment, we can create a field of certainty within us, a field of peace within us. And even, I'm going to suggest, even a field of love in this moment, of gratitude for the world as it is, exactly as it is. In this moment, that field that we're creating here in our hearts ripples out and informs the future possibilities that we're going to meet. As I say, I don't believe in total predestination. I believe in certain probabilities, absolutely. If you're walking along a certain path, the chances are you're going to get to wherever that path leads. But in each and every moment, we can choose, and we can choose again. We can choose new feelings. We can choose new thoughts. And in that lies our power of dealing with uncertainty, because in this moment, we can align with that deeper essence of life, of certainty in this moment, and that ripples out into our future experiences. So, as Michelle mentioned earlier, the key to dealing with uncertainty is acceptance of life exactly as it is in this moment, and accepting the not knowingness of the future. Accept that, because in that acceptance of the not knowingness of what is going to unfold next in your life, there's an opening. There's a portal that opens. And in that portal of accepting uncertainty, in that moment, paradoxically, there is a flow, a transmission of energy into this dimension maybe through your mind, that actually guides you as to what to do in the next moment. And that's going back to public speaking, for example. The best thing you can do in public speaking is to throw away your notes, throw away your certainty of what you wanted to say, and be present with this particular presentation. It's a presentation. That's what it is. And then in that moment, there's a greater intelligence than the work that you prepared that flows through you into this moment and opens the hearts of your audience, for example. That definitely happens. When you're doing a presentation from the head, it's boring and it shuts people down. When you do a presentation from this heart-centeredness, you open your audience up, because there's a greater intelligence in allowing than in predictability. And that is the major key to dealing with uncertainty, to allow the uncertainty to be there, allow your mind not to know. And in the not knowing, there is an opening. And through that opening, grace flows, and you find magic unfolding in your future experiences.
Because you're not trying to force it. You're not trying to force the river. You're actually allowing the river to flow, and you're watching the river. And so it's also just about, when somebody asks you about sort of, other people will often feed our concerns about being unsure. Because they'll say, so what's your plan? How are you going to do that? What's your next thing that you're going to do? And in the process of actually saying, I'm not sure, I don't know, as John actually just said there, you're actually opening a little portal, because you're opening. You're not saying, well, I know it's got to be like this, or fixating on what you think it should be, or how you hope it'll turn out. By saying, I'm not sure, or I don't know, you're actually opening to something else. And my experience working with clients and with people is when they ask a question, sort of, is this going to happen? Or should I do this? Very often when you say to the person, well, what if you didn't have to know? There's a pause, and then there's an acceptance, and then very often out of that pause, it's an empty space, comes a knowingness. It's not an absolute, it's a knowingness of how to actually move forward, or it's something wise that the person says. But it's not when they're in the ping-ponging mind of should I, shouldn't I, must I, mustn't I, how should I, what if. When they're in that phase, all of us, when we're in that, we're not going to actually open to that wisdom that actually comes through. When we actually say, I'm not sure, I don't know, you're actually, first of all, opening your heart, very often opening the heart of somebody that's with you, because it's humble. You don't have to know everything. And I think that's a relieving thing, to know that you don't have to know. What if you didn't have to know? Because if you don't know, then you're not supposed to know right now. You might know in the next second, or the next day, or the next month. But right now, if you don't know, you don't know. So then it's to just accept, I don't know. So it goes back to the acceptance thing. We often sort of give the example of it's raining outside. Or it's raining outside, and therefore I can't go here, I can't get my car out of the mud, it shouldn't be raining, the weather report said it wasn't going to rain, and now it's raining, and my plans have been messed up, and everything's a mess. The one is it's raining, and the other one is a whole story about the raining, which is then taking us on that trajectory into resistance about the rain, as opposed to it's raining, I accept the fact that it's raining. And which then suggests that there's nothing I have to do to solve the rain. I just have to accept the rain. So if we fight the fact that, for example, the government might not have our interests at heart, we're in resistance. As opposed to, I accept the fact that right now it feels as though the government doesn't have our interests at heart. I just accept it. Because it's not going to help to resist it.
Yeah, but then nothing will change, surely.
Everything will change.
Why? Because I'm not resisting it anymore.
You're changing the field. When you're resisting, you're pushing.
Yeah.
And it's persisting.
Yeah, and you're creating an inner field of resistance within you, which
Yeah.
ripples out to the future.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that most people say, but if I don't resist the present moment, the uncomfortable situation that I find myself in this moment is never going to change.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely not true at all. You find that what you resist persists. What you accept, you become in an alignment with the intelligence of life, and then you start to work with the field of the miraculous.
Yeah.
And you find changes happen in ways that you couldn't ever predict, you couldn't ever even manipulate. It happens that way. You know, if you're going, for example, to a difficult meeting, for example, now what the mind will do is it will try and strategize the meeting. If they say this and they do that, I'm going to do this, and you have a whole chess game going in your mind before you have that meeting, and the meeting may be a meeting with, on a commercial level, or maybe on a level of relationship level. And you work it out all in your mind, and you have this whole very, very strong reality in your mind. And you get there and you find that it doesn't work out that way, or there's a blockage. But if you, on your way to that meeting, rather focus on getting into the state of peace and ease and openness and not knowingness in that moment, and just allowing the isness of this moment to be exactly as it is, you will find as you enter into that meeting that there is an intelligence that flows through you and flows through the whole meeting. and you find that there is a resolution where prior to that there may have been a conflict. You find that the right energy makes it flow smoothly, and that is being comfortable with uncertainty, being absolutely open to uncertainty, and at the same time trusting that there is a higher intelligence than your logical thinking mind, and you open to that intelligence and you allow that intelligence to guide the conversation or to guide the doingness, whatever it is in that particular moment. And it opens you up, and I've mentioned many times before the one film I was watching of Ayrton Senna, the most motor racing driver, and he said when he was driving he had to completely empty himself of all doing. He had become one with the car, the road. There was no strategy in his mind. There was complete presence in his awareness, and he wasn't driving that car anymore. He said thinking was way too slow. If he had to think about it, he'd crash. And that is what all sportsmen do. They go into that
extreme sports. Yeah.
They go into that zone. They go into that zone. Now that zone is when you become one with life. Try that in a meeting when you're trying to strategize uncertainties. Go into that space. Open up and say to yourself, I don't know. I don't know the solution in this moment. And you watch magic happen. You know, we're starting a community in the garden route at the moment. And if we had to start this knowing how it's going to unfold, and we would never even start it.
Changes by the day.
But we would never have the courage to even begin the process, because it's impossible to see the outcome. And it's a case of stepping back and trusting that there is a higher intelligence, and we do not have to know. All we have to know is this step that I'm taking right now. That's all I need to know, is this step that I'm taking now. And it's fairly obvious, the step that you're taking right in this moment, wherever you are. It's not too obvious the step that you're going to take tomorrow or in a month's time or a year's time. But as you step back into this present moment, life becomes more joyful, more easier, and you find that from that field in this moment, you influence your future experiences in the world out there. Try it. Try it tomorrow. Enter into a field of not knowing and allow the not knowing just to be there. And you see what a difference it makes in the experiencing of your day. And I absolutely guarantee you the outcome will be far more beneficial to you and to the world around you by entering into that field of, I'm allowing the state to be exactly this. I do not have to know.
Yeah, I couldn't see, we can't really read the comments very well right now. Somebody said there that it's not that easy to let go of the resistance, because there's that sense of, I read it there, something about trying. I'm going to try. But just realizing that trying is resistance. So if I say to you, try to pick up a pencil, you will probably pick up the pencil. But that's picking up the pencil. Trying is reaching for something. So when we say we're going to try to actually give up resistance, we are being resistant. So it's actually a stepping back into acceptance. It's not a trying. It's not a forward motion. It's actually a backward motion. It's a going back into acceptance, and it's an opening. Whereas trying is a forward motion and it's a pushing towards something. So you might just get that feeling of between the two. Whenever we say, I'm trying to do something, realize that you're not here because you're trying to get somewhere else. So bring yourself back and go, I accept this moment, just this moment, now. You're not accepting the next moment or tomorrow's moment. You're accepting this one. Just this one, now. And in that moment of accepting this moment, you're opening to something new to come in. You know, I used to be in production, film production and events, organizing big events and that kind of thing. And we would do what, John was talking about there. You would strategize, and we'd have strat meetings and brainstorms, and we would have production schedules, and each person would have their minute-by-minute process that was going to happen during the day. And we would know while we were doing it that it probably wasn't going to go according to that, but it would be a guideline, and we'd sometimes have plan A, plan B, and plan C. So if it was like an outdoor thing, we would definitely have a plan B for if it rained, for example. But 9 times out of 10, on every single thing that I ever did, something came left field and changed the whole thing. It was completely unexpected. It didn't matter how many plans you had. You could have 6 plans, all beautifully typed out. And something else would happen. I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday about it. And you would have to deal with it as it happened. You couldn't plan it. You couldn't think about it. You couldn't strategize it. You just had to be present to say, okay, the whole thing's going to change. What are we going to do now? And then go from that point of just moving into the next moment, as opposed to planning it. And the brain, the mind wants to plan. And we found our security in planning. But what we don't realize is that very often the planning doesn't happen. Sometimes it does, but very often there's stuff that comes up that's unexpected.
Yeah, planning can help. I mean, it's great to have a framework,
It helps to have a guideline.
It's to realize that planning comes from the mind.
Yeah.
And the most important energy we have to create the future is not the mind, it's the heart. And so, yes, while you're making your plans, what is the feeling I want to feel along my journey? You know, it's all about the destination. For example, you want to go on holiday. Well, you plan your whole holiday, and I'm very stressed while I'm planning my holiday. And you get on holiday, and you experience that stress because now this is wrong, and that's wrong, and that's wrong, and did I switch the stove off at home, etc., etc. Because you're in that mode of stress energy. So it's to realize that your future is made up of present moments. And if you learn to allow and accept this moment to be, you create the vibration of peace within you now. You don't need it sometime in the future. You experience it now. And from that nowness of peace that you're experiencing here in this moment, that influences the future external realities that we meet along our journey. So yes, use the mind to strategize. Use it to plan. It's great.
For sure.
But more importantly, while you're doing that, is create the feeling of knowing that it is good. Knowing that it is beneficial for me and for everyone around me. Know that life is good. It's the knowingness within you of the destination is absolutely assured. Not the destination in my mind, but the destination and feeling that it is good. And what is good but love, but connection, but a feeling of oneness and joy. That is what we create in our heart while we are becoming a conscious creator, is to feel the feeling that you want to feel sometime in the future when circumstances work out the way that they should work out according to the mind. Feel that feeling now, and you find you influence the world that you meet in the next step and the next step and the next step. You meet it with the feeling that you're feeling in this moment. What the world needs now is not more strategizing, it needs more love. And that love has to flow through you. And the more open you are, the more allowing you are in this moment, the more you allow that. And that's where you become comfortable with uncertainty.
And to be flexible. I think that these are times where we are learning how to be flexible. So you have the plan. You have it written out if you want to. It's great. It's wonderful. But be flexible. Be able to actually shift that plan. Allow it to bend and move in different directions, because that's where I think that magical part comes in. Very often it might be that's the plan, but then something comes in and you just shift there, and something else comes in there that you didn't see, because it's fluid and you're in flow with life. You're not resisting life. Whereas if you've got a plan and you're doggedly going towards that plan, you're going to miss that, because you're so focused. And I think also very often we've also, just in terms of the uncertainty, is just to, I think, realize that we often become fixated on the uncertainty. So we become fixated on the anxiety around something, and we're not, because we're fixated on whatever we put our attention on grows. So we become fixated on the uncertainty, so we're not open to whatever else is actually unfolding, because our thoughts are all connected to that anxiety, the fear, maybe complaining about the way something is and the way it should be and the way it isn't. So I think it's just to be cognizant of where we're placing our attention as well, and to keep bringing it back. And for me, it's that bringing it back is it's okay not to know, or I'm at peace with not knowing, or I accept that I don't know in this moment. And just there's okay, it's okay. It's okay if you don't know. There's a break, there's a portal in that.
Yeah, that's right. You know, on that the map that I shared many times before with most of you, the map of consciousness, the horizontal plane of time chasing future and looking for your fulfillment in the future sometime. And then there's the vertical plane. The vertical plane is the plane of presence. And in presence, there are labels, but they're not labels to things. They're labels to generally states of awareness. And they're things like, for example, being, or love, or joy, or peace, or presence. And if we realize that what we are feeling in this moment is our power, we have the power to feel what we want to feel in this moment. And if we choose, for example, in this moment to feel joy and to really just fill ourselves with the awareness of joy in this moment, that will influence the future experience that we're going to have. And then that feeling that we're feeling within us, you can depend upon that. That's the ground. That's, there was a teacher 2,000 years ago that says, dig deep and build your house on that rock. That's the rock of the vertical plane. And that's the rock of feeling, of knowing, of certainty, of destination in my heart. What you hold in your heart determines what you will experience in the future. You can be planning someone and strategizing, but if your heart isn't in alignment with a beautiful outcome, then that planning and that strategizing will lead to nothing more than pain and suffering for you and all those that you meet there. So our primary work in dealing with these times of uncertainty is, what do we hold in our heart in this moment? Do we hold acceptance? Do we hold love? Do we hold peace in our heart right now in this moment? That's our practical work. And it's not only something to do if you have time. I believe right now that it's our obligation to hold those higher frequencies of energy within our heart, because that gets amplified into the world of consciousness around us and uplifts those who are not able to make those conscious choices. You are, because you're listening to this tonight, you are aware enough to choose your own consciousness. Many others are not able to. So the obligation is on your shoulders to choose the world that you would like to live in, and the world that you would like other people, your children, your grandchildren, to live in as well. Choose it from the heart, not from the mind so much.
Now the other, just something there, where you said, the joy that brings you in. The other thing that brings you in is beauty. So to just focus on something beautiful, that's certain. It's right there. It's in front of you. You can smell it. You can see it. You can touch it. It's certain. So focus on what is certain. Focus on beauty, because beauty is everywhere. So focus on beauty was the one thing, and also just that when we stray into the uncertainty or into the concern, it's not to judge it. It's to know that this journey is to come back, is to see it. And to say, I've gone into anxiety, bring yourself back. I've gone into fear, bring yourself back. I've gone into blame, bring yourself back. Because each time we bring ourselves back, that's the practice. It's not to get somewhere else. It's to actually realize that, I'm aware that I lost the thread. I've come back to it. And that's what our journey is about, our journey to freedom. We have another one starting on the 20th of July. It's a 13-week journey that brings us back. It could be called Return to Love, actually.
It says return
to beauty.
to love.
But it is a journey. It's
Yeah.
a 13-week online journey. It starts on the 20th of July. Every Thursday after that.
Yeah, we start with a free week,
and we start with a free
a
week.
7-week online module, and you're all welcome to join for that. And if you enjoy that, hopefully you'll journey the next 12 weeks with us as well.
Yeah.
So it's all on our website,
invite you
journeysofawakening.com.
Yeah.
And you know, just when you kept on saying there, coming back, it's a journey of coming back, and that backness is presence, coming back into this moment, clearing your mind, and just coming back in this moment. It's a return journey, this that we're on right now. It's not a reaching for future. This is a return journey to who and what we really are, which is already here in this moment, complete and beautiful. So those of you who would like to deepen this, come and journey 13 weeks with us on our online program.
Yeah, and it's this, the return journey is not to get upset when we go off. It's rather to acknowledge that I see that I have, and I've come back. It's much more gentle, because then otherwise it's combined with blame and, you know, why aren't I there yet, and why do I still do the same thing, and why am I repeating the same pattern? Oh, I've noticed that there's a pattern. I'm coming back. That's the journey. That is the journey. And that's the healing. Coming back to love. Yes, Deborah, thank you.
Yeah.
Returning to who we really are. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was shared there about creating greater levels of awareness. It's to realize that awareness itself is the greatest agent for change.
Yeah.
Awareness. Because you cannot have awareness if you're not present. The fact that you're aware of something means that you're back here again. You know, if you're aware of an uncomfortable chair you're sitting on right now, well, that awareness is presence. If you're aware of a dog barking in the background, that awareness is presence. Our journey is a journey, the journey of awakening is a journey into awareness. That's really what it is. Awareness. And awareness of the emptiness of this moment, and trusting that emptiness, that infinite intelligence of life that is manifest in this moment. Trusting that gives a greater sense of ease in our hearts. That it does. Yeah. Right.
Hopefully that's
Thank you for joining us tonight. You're going to lead us out in a short
one.
meditation, and then we've got an affirmation card.
Let's draw it now, and then I can.
Okay, we've got a whole lot of cards here, and Michelle's going to choose one of these to help guide us through these uncertain times.
I think I'll close my eyes.
Wow. You chose a green one, the heart chakra, and I believe the journey back to love is our main mission at this time, to come back to love, and that card will definitely help us do that. So stick around for the end of this evening, and you will find out what's written on that card. That's a powerful affirmation for these times that we're going through at the moment.
Okay, so just a 5-minute ending off. Let's just settle in and take a beautiful deep belly breath in. So just expanding the belly on the in breath, holding for a moment, and then releasing it. And then taking another deep, beautiful, big, full in breath, holding it, and then releasing and allowing your body to just soften, and allowing your hands to rest gently in your lap. Just allow this wave of presence, of awareness, to wash through you. As you sink back into this place, and you put your shoulders back just a little bit, drop your shoulders, and open your heart to just this moment. And just allow yourself to be conscious of your breath, not trying to change it. to just notice it, to be the awareness of the breath flowing in and out. Consciously softening on each out-breath. Dropping in to this place of peace. And now bringing a situation into your awareness of something in your life that you might want certainty about, you might want answers about. You might want to know which way to go and what to do next. And just hold it gently for a moment. And take a deep breath in. And release, release, release. And say the words to yourself. I give up the need for knowing. And I am at peace. And breathe out as you say it. Breathing in and out. I give up the need for knowing, and I'm at peace. Allow your body to drop into that peace. Just in this moment, you're giving up the need for knowing. And you're opening a space for life to flow in and through you. Noticing your breath, feeling the sensations that you can feel in this moment. You might feel the temperature on your skin, on your face, the surface underneath you. And the breath flowing through you. Just reminding yourself that you can come back to this place very quickly, at any time. Just a few breaths brings you back. And our affirmation card for the night is I accept myself as God does, unconditionally, right now. Breathe in those words. Might even put your hand on your heart as you say those words. I accept myself as God does, unconditionally, right now. It's a very powerful affirmation. Whatever you're moving through, whatever you're feeling, stop, breathe, and say to yourself, I accept myself unconditionally, right now. And I'll take a deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you. Have a beautiful week further. I'll post a photograph of that affirmation card up on the Facebook page in a moment. And use that to guide you through this week and to see what a difference it makes. It opens your heart. It creates a certainty of love in this moment.
It does.
Beautiful. Thank you all for being with us.
Thanks everyone.
Nighty night.
Have a beautiful week.